Welcome all to an all-new episode of Brews and Banter FC. I'm Redbeard, joined by the infamous Targo. In today's episode, we have all sorts of drama unfolding for you, from lawsuits to cheating scandals. We're going to cover all the action.
But of course, that's not all. We're also going to cover this little game known as the Champions League Final.
Oh.
And we'll also announce our teams of the competition, our awards for the Champions League. It's all of that and so much more on this brand new episode of Brews and Banter FC. And it starts right now.
What up, man?
How's it going? What a
Good.
weekend. What a weekend.
I love how we always seem to wear the same club's jerseys. I don't
Unbeknownst,
understand
right?
this. Yeah.
This was one I literally threw on, just like, I'm just going to go out, run some errands. This was on top of the laundry pile.
There you go. I mean, I've been wearing this hat all day, and the only shirt I have to match it is this one. So both happen to be Sounders jerseys,
Look at
and
you,
probably
Mr.
my two favorite. All right, what are you gonna digest this episode with, my friend?
I am digesting it with it's a lumber beard.
Ooh, my neck of the woods.
Pants. Session Hazy IPA.
You ever had that one?
I have not.
Okay.
I
If
love
you're
their little logo though. The guy
I know.
with the hop for a beard.
The hop
and his little
beard, yeah.
beanie. So Washington-esque, right? The hipster kind of look.
Very hipster, yeah.
That is a tasty beer.
There you go.
Almost a little hint of a sour at the end.
Ooh, that's
Not bad.
fun.
Not bad. Party pants. There's a party in your bedroom. I'll sing for a different time. What are you drinking, my friend?
I have a client who just did like a 3-month road trip all across the country, and she brought me back a bunch of new beers. So
Oh, fun.
very excited. So this one's from Rickety Cricket Brewing
Love the name.
in
Ricky Cricket.
Kingman, Arizona. This one is a berrylicious wheat ale, 5.1%, called Schnozberries.
The schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
I knew you'd love that.
I love the name of that brewery. I love the name
Right?
of that beer. This
The
better
whole
taste
thing.
great, man.
And then it's got a little cricket with like a purple suit on and hat. It's pretty great. So
I
I've
hope
never
it tastes
had this.
good because everything else has been
Right?
perfection. So let us know.
Well, the schnozberries taste like schnozberries. So yeah, it's a very berry wheat ale. I'm trying
Nice
it.
and light.
It almost tastes like crunch berries.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
do you have a beer that you try that is like a Captain Crunch Berry or
Yeah, they did cereal beers out here at Garland Brew Works, but this tastes way better than that one.
does it? Okay.
Yeah, way better. I'm sad that I only have one can of it.
That is sad. Cause I want to.
What are you gonna rate yours, my friend?
Ooh, I give it a solid 8.3.
Okay, I'm gonna go with I don't want to quite say 9, but 8.8.
8.8.
It's fucking
8.9.
delicious. It's fucking delicious.
Well, I guess
9.6.
almost a perfect.
Almost perfect 10. Yeah, it's amazing. So yes, schnozberries taste like
Your
schnozberries.
client did well.
They did. And with that, let's get a word from our sponsors.
Today's episode is brought to you by Acorn Hills Clothing Company. Sustainable clothing, biodegradable packaging, tree planted for every purchase, and a percentage of their sales donated to charities.
Yeah, and that's not even the best part. They give you these plantable clothing tags with every purchase. Pretty much greatest idea ever.
That
You
is
scan
awesome.
the QR code right here for planting instructions. So make sure you go to www.acornhillsco.com and use Brews15. That is BREWS15 at checkout for 15% off and have your tree planted today.
Yes, don't forget to use our code Brews15 at checkout for 15% off. This is one you don't want to miss, guys.
All right, my friend, we got a lot of news to cover, so I'm going to rattle these off. If you got something to say, say it. Olympiacos beat Fiorentina 1-0 to win the Europa Conference League. I believe the goal was scored in like the 116th minute in extra time.
It was late.
Yeah.
It was late. Again, poor Fiorentina, man. Europa League final, and they lost.
It's a second straight year in a final.
For the second straight final in a row, yeah.
Speaking of finals, Jose Mourinho has signed a 2-year deal to manage Fenerbahce in Turkey.
Guy's going everywhere, man, making the rounds.
He is. Did you see the reception he got?
No, I didn't.
Oh, they had a parade of people down the street, and their entire stadium was full with flags, banners, flares. It was nuts. Yeah.
The special one goes to Turkey. All right.
Yeah. Keeping with the coaching carousel, Napoli,
I did see
who are on their third manager since they won the title, and Antonio Conte is their new manager. Good hire for them.
I think so.
Yeah, he tends to thrive in Italy.
We could bring some stability to that team because they suck this year, man.
Yeah,
one of the worst
especially
title defenses
defensively. Ugh, they were garbage. And sticking in Italy, AC Milan have appointed Paulo Fonseca as their new manager. Former Lille manager signed a 2-year deal with the option for a third.
They didn't want to keep Inzaghi, huh?
I guess not after this season.
Okay. See how it goes.
Probably the amount of points they were behind Inter probably had a little bit of a...
Inter killed it, though. Like, they only lost a couple games, if that.
Yeah. Speaking of losing a bunch of games, Chelsea have a new defender as they signed Tosin, Adarabayo from Fulham on a free transfer. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. I've heard it a million times, but I've never said it.
Probably did.
Yeah. Crystal Palace have signed Diachi Kamada from Lazio, which I think is a fantastic signing for them. And then they also signed 20-year-old center back Kadi Riyad from Barcelona for $15 million. He was on loan last season at Real Betis, making 30 appearances.
Much needed money for Barcelona.
Yes. I'm going to set that down, otherwise it's going to hover in front of my face.
You're going to drink it all. It's one big gulp, huh?
I know. It's going to happen. Kieran McKenna signed a new 4-year deal at Ipswich, putting the kibosh on any clubs trying to sign him. Looking at you, Manchester United. A fun one, Greenland, country that doesn't really have a competitive football team, has officially applied to join CONCACAF and FIFA to qualify to play in official competitions for the first time in their history.
Interesting.
They applied for UEFA back in the early 2000s and got denied because technically they're not a part of Europe. So
we'll take him over here at CONCACAF.
All right. Speaking of that little-known game called the Champions League Final, fresh off his defeat in that said final against Real Madrid, Michael Royce is apparently in advanced negotiations with LA Galaxy, according to multiple sources.
Not surprised.
Not surprised at all. Apparently, Charlotte FC had the rights to give him a contract because in the MLS it's weird. You get designated players. They have a list and it goes in order unless you want to pay the team that's in first. Apparently they gave him a contract. He said no. LA Galaxy gave him a bigger contract, and LA Galaxy have to pay $350,000 to Charlotte for that transfer to go through.
Chump change.
Yeah, chump change.
Why not Charlotte, man? Charlotte's not a bad city.
It's not. It's a gorgeous city.
It is.
With wonderful weather. So, I don't know.
LA.
All right, to the controversy, my friend. Lucas Paqueta.
Let's get to
Lucas Paqueta. He's been charged by the FA for a betting scam. That's not new news, but what is new is the FA wants to ban him for life.
Ooh, he's in some deep doo-doo, man.
Yeah, apparently it's understood that 60 people bet on him to get carded in matches against Villa, Leeds, Leicester, and Bournemouth during the 22-23 season.
So that's what I told you. I think, was it last week that he was getting cards on purpose?
I had no idea. I had to do my own research, and yeah, apparently the winnings have amounted to over $100,000.
Oh, man,
that's hedging from $7 to $400.
That's bad.
Yeah, and they've all been traced to Paqueta Island, which is where he grew up, which is why his last name is Paqueta. Yeah, So they're all from the same spot, very small island in Brazil.
Not good for
Pretty,
him.
pretty damning. Yeah. Speaking of damning,
Ooh.
Manchester City, this club with 115 charges against them, have filed a lawsuit against the
Oh,
Premier League for what they
shame.
call discrimination against golf ownership. And if you don't know what golf ownership is, that is
Saudis.
the essentially, yeah, the Middle East peninsula there. I don't get this at all. The whole thing is pretty much essentially against clubs not being able to use sponsorship for businesses that the owners own the business, right? I know we've heard a lot of good analogies. I know you had one about two companies, a tire place and a restaurant, and the restaurant decides they want to sponsor a tire place, giving them so much money, and they value the tire place 5 times higher. So
Or the
inflated.
sponsorship 5 times higher. They
Yeah,
say the sponsorship's worth more than what it actually is.
exactly. So
And it basically
inflated
means
prices.
one company can pay another company owned by the same person exorbitant amounts of money. Hey, we made all this income. Look, now we can go buy all the best players, buy the best facilities, and hire
Crapshoot.
the best coaches.
Yeah. So the rules on that pretty much were put in place in 2021 after Newcastle's takeover by the Saudi government. They made sure that that wouldn't happen. Well, City claim in a 165-page document, I don't know how you get that many pages about it, but that they are victims of discrimination, describing the rules that have been approved by their rivals to stifle their success on the pitch as tyranny of the majority. Literally
Tyranny of the majority.
sounds like a democracy to me.
Democracy? Like, isn't that just another word for democracy?
Right? Right? They argue that companies should be able to contribute whatever they want for sponsorship, not what is considered fair market value, like we just went into. And the EPL rules contradict competition law. I would argue that literally they're there to make sure that it is still a competition. Otherwise, it's not. It's the best players in the world and all this money against nothing.
Well, that's how you
Little
get a
tiny
farmers
pots of,
league, man. I mean,
pretty much.
let's
It's
be honest.
PSG in France.
It's
In
like if
Ligue
you
1.
get, okay, say Bournemouth, Fulham, this season Burnley, Sheffield, all those teams, they go to play Man City. They just say, F it, we'll rotate our squad, play our
Yeah.
youngsters, and then wait for the next game where we actually stand a chance.
Yeah, and people forget it was early 2000s when Manchester United and Liverpool put up a vote for the Premier League that they should get pretty much paid upon the viewers of EPL games. So if they get 10 times more than, say, Luton versus Burnley, they should be paid accordingly, which would have given them essentially 70 million extra pounds for a season. And Manchester City voted against that. Because
What's
it's
funny
a
is
democracy.
now Man City are looking for other clubs to kind of come support them, because I think they said in this document like 16 clubs or something like that, or 14 clubs, something like that, are going to be witnesses against this Man City lawsuit, basically. And Man City, they're also seeking damages. Don't forget about that. They want money because of this.
Yeah, which is crazy to me.
But it's just like, honestly, I know every team has their rival. As Arsenal fans, we don't care for Spurs, Chelsea, United, and Liverpool have that rivalry. I feel like every team now should hate Manchester City and just want them to lose. Like, if you're not a Man City fan, you want them to lose at this point. They're a bunch of cheaters, and they're just trying to corrupt the system and use money to win. And it ruins football. It ruins the sport.
Not to mention I believe their valuation and income is like just barely behind Real Madrid. And if you look at the fan bases of the two, Real Madrid has, I couldn't even multiply it, how many more
dude, you can
fans.
go to any small town anywhere, and you go to a bar with the Real Madrid game on, and there's someone
nuts.
there watching it.
Yeah, exactly. Versus Man City, where they don't even fill their own stadium.
The empty had.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. This is literally like, I think it's probably a quarter to half of the charges they have against them from the Premier League is involving inflation of sponsorship deals, where they're pretty much funneling money through their own companies to pay for sponsorships.
To make Man City look like it has more revenue than
yeah,
what it actually
inflated
does.
value.
Yeah.
I mean, Man City before they took over were a middle of the table side.
They were before the Saudis took over. They were a
Yeah.
relegation threat side.
Well, there you go. And
I
now
remember when
they've
they got
become
relegated. Damn.
one of the most successful teams in the Premier League era. I mean, they've won the last 4 Premier League trophies. They say that it's hurt them. Has it really though? They're the most successful team in the last 10 years.
I know, right? They said it hurts them, and you won the
How many
treble
more
last year.
trophies do you want? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Get
it
out of here
makes
with
no
that
sense to
garbage.
me. Does this seem like pretty much they're admitting to the charges based on sponsorship deals against them by
I
the
think this
Premier
is
League?
them. You know what the sad part is I think yes, they're guilty of all of that. This is them trying to get away with it. But it's going to be really damning and sad for just fans of the sport if they get away with this.
Right? If they win this, I think they win their case. And then it's going to be just a giant shit show across all of Europe at that point. Because if the Premier League lets them do that, I mean, UEFA has their own regulations that are stricter than the Premier League's. So does FIFA. So they're not going to be able to be in the Champions League anymore if they do that.
UEFA just announced that 2 teams owned by the same owners group can be in the Champions League. That was just announced. So now Man City and
special
Girona
occasions, yeah.
No,
and then
it's now.
official?
Man, so it's official. Okay. UEFA announced it. And so, for example, Man United and Nice can also be in the Champions League. So the same owner groups.
They're both in the Europa League, so.
Sorry. Suck on it, Man United.
Yeah. I mean, I got to get a jab in there somewhere. I'll get more.
That was a good one.
Before the end of this episode, I'll get more.
Theoretically, if they were both in the Champions League, they could both be in it, according to UEFA rules now.
But more importantly, Girona and Manchester City. It used to be you couldn't own more than 30% of a club and have 2 teams in there.
Yes, but now they changed that. They literally just changed that here recently.
I did not see that at all. So, breaking news brought to you by Targo.
ESPN FC.
Speaking of breaking news, and it's really not breaking news, it's probably the worst kept secret in all of football. Kylian Mbappe has finally officially announced that he has joined Real Madrid.
Woohoo! They just got better. They just won the Champions League.
Yeah. Now they get probably, in my opinion, the second best player in the world.
Who's
they already had the first, Vinny Jr.
Oh,
they already had the first. So
I guess my question is, how do you think Real Madrid line up with Mbappe?
Put him as striker.
Question to you. Okay, so what formation of 4-3-3 or?
Yeah, keep the same formation. They just put him as striker. Pretty much have it fluid between the front 3 there, because I mean we've seen Vinny Jr. and Rodrigo both start at striker. So
although him and look like?
Vinny Jr. and Mbappe pretty much play exactly the same style off the left. So that should be interesting to see how they play with each other. Their midfield, I mean, now that Toni Kroos is retired, probably Bellingham, Valverde, and Tchouaméni. Yet Camavinga in there could come in as well. They're just absolutely stacked, and I don't understand how. And Man City should look at Real Madrid. I mean, they have a salary cap in Madrid for La Liga. And yet they're still able to sign Kylian Mbappe and pay him $150 million bonus to be spread out 5 years.
That's what happens when there's no release clause or no transfer fee.
Yeah, they pretty much give him the transfer fee. And I think it was $16 million a year for 5 years, which is nuts. Yeah. So, what do you guys think of this whole Mbappe saga? Where will he start for Madrid? Let us know. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook group, or just down in the comments, honestly. Right down there. Well, with the Mbappe saga finally over, my friend, we got to move on to the next big transfer rumor of the summer. So there have been a couple, but we want to decide right here, right now, which one is the biggest. I want you to tell me which one is wild enough to possibly happen and which one will never happen.
Which one will never happen? Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go through the biggest ones of the summer so far, which pretty much are from January till now. You got Marcus Rashford to Arsenal, Victor Osimhen to Chelsea or Arsenal, Alphonso Davies to Real Madrid, Bruno Fernandes to Bayern Munich, Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne to Saudi Arabia, Michael Olise to, well, pretty much any team that could afford him, and Barcelona to spend over $50 million on a player who can't be registered.
I like the Mo Salah KDB to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
The one I don't think will happen at all is the Bruno Fernandes to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, that one seems probably the least likely out of all of them. Kevin De Bruyne just said he's open to a move to Saudi Arabia, like literally yesterday. And so did Kyle Walker, which was strange to me. So I could see
Kyle
both those
Walker's
happening.
trying to get a payday, apparently, huh?
Both of them. That's what they said. They're like, well, we're at the end of our careers. I mean, I'm not going to turn down ridiculous money.
I mean, especially if, for example, even Mo Salah, if Liverpool can get 100 mil for a guy over 30.
Yeah.
Take that money.
City might get 100 mil for Walker and De Bruyne combined, but they're not going to get 100 mil for De Bruyne. That's for sure. As far as me, wild enough to possibly happen, I think Alphonso Davies to Real Madrid is probably the most likely one to happen because they haven't spent any of their transfer money yet. Which one will never happen? I keep seeing this Marcus Rashford to Arsenal business. I don't think
that will happen either. But...
I don't think Arsenal will pay the 80 million, and I think PSG will, and I think he'll go to PSG. So Michael Olise will leave Crystal Palace most likely, and it will be City, United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, you name it in there. One of those. Bayern Munich, Barcelona. Barcelona might even sign him for over 50 mil and not be able to register him. And we'll get two birds, one stone.
A twofer.
Yeah.
A twofer. All right, man. Well, let's move on to the Champions League final. We had Dortmund against Real Madrid. Real Madrid came out 2-0 winners.
Speaking of a twofer.
But yeah, Real Madrid, man, they win the Champions League trophy for a record 15th time.
It's not fair, man.
It's not
fair. Did you have any doubt once they got past City?
No.
Not really.
I will say Dortmund put up a fight in that first half. They had their chances at Adeyemi, Füllkrug.
Yeah, I would almost argue it was for 70 minutes, pretty much. They played amazing and probably should have scored 3 goals. I mean, they hit the post 3 times.
Courtois came up with some saves, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Real Madrid, man, they hung in there. They didn't put them away, and guess what? A little set piece here called the corner kick, and Danny Carvajal gets a nice header onto it.
Speaking of little set piece, I mean, he's the smallest guy on the pitch. He gets a free header. And Füllkrug was the man who was supposed to mark him, and you see in the replay, he's just standing there, and he goes, oh shit, and starts running towards him. But by then, the ball's already hit Carvajal's head, and it's in the back of the net.
I did love how Mats Hummels was almost about to put his hand out to block
to try to block
I think it does hit his hand, but
it does, but
passed.
it's already in the goal. Yeah. Tried for the hand of God. I think it would have probably made things worse, but
probably. And then Ian Maatsen would do with one of the worst giveaways you ever want to see in a Champions League final. Straight to, who is it, Bellingham?
He's like, hey, my buddy Jude Bellingham, do you still play for Dortmund?
My fellow Englishman, hey.
I think you still play for Dortmund, don't you? He just give you the ball.
Which sucks. He had such a great tournament, too.
He did.
He
did. And like you said before the show, I think it's probably the only reason he's not in either one of our team of the season is that pass right there.
That one hurt. Yeah, it did. It did.
A lot.
But I mean, this one was interesting because Carlo Ancelotti didn't make any substitutions for a while.
So the 80th, almost the 80th minute?
80th minute. He just kept
and
it,
then he
kept
just went
everyone on. I mean, what's funny is you can see his son coming up and getting in his face and be like, we need to change it, we need to do something. No. And, he's just Mr. Cool, calm, relaxed.
Raise the eyebrow, puts in some substitutions, and they go 2-0 up.
Well, they're already 2-0 up pretty much at that point.
Yeah.
1-0 up.
1-0.
I did feel bad. Marco Reus comes on a minute later. Real Madrid score their goal.
Yeah.
Poor guy, dude. Talk about just one of the
He's literally the most unlucky player of all time.
Seriously, I don't want to say it's the saddest career, because obviously he's had a fantastic career, but it's just sad for him. He gets
2 Champions League finals
for Germany, and
the World Cup that they lose, he's towards ACL. The Euros they won, he was out hurt or pulled himself out of it because he had fatigue. I mean, where else do you want to go? Like, Dortmund lost the title in the last game of the season in the dying minutes.
That one's a big one.
Yeah, like he has to be the most unlucky player of all time.
But Don Carlo with his 5th Champions League trophy, most all time in the competition as a manager. He also won 2 as a player, so he has 7 Champions League trophies.
Yeah, his last loss in the Champions League final was that like our favorite match of all time, which is when AC Milan lost to Liverpool in Istanbul.
That game.
That was what? 2003?
No, it was like 2006
It
or
was
5.
a while ago. Almost 20 years ago. That was the last time he lost the final.
We old.
The
Damn.
Champions League. Holy cow.
It's nuts. But yeah, Real Madrid won 6 of the last 11 trophies. Spanish teams, aka Real Madrid, just don't lose.
Yeah.
In European finals.
Yeah, it's something crazy. Like 19 times they faced other nationalities in the final and have never lost in the final unless they play Spanish opposition. That's crazy.
I mean, you have some of these players like Cruz and Modric, Nacho, Carvajal. 6 finals.
6 trophies. Yeah.
6 finals, 6 trophies.
Yep. I mean, Real Madrid, last time they lost in a final was to Liverpool in 1981.
Hey, we weren't alive, so we're not that old.
Not that old, but that's still crazy. That's 43 years ago. Like, nobody on that team was alive then. Not a single person.
Modric might have been. He's old.
He's 37, so still 6 years
Real
before
Madrid
he was
at 27 with 0 trophies, and now
he's got 26. Oh, Tottenham still haven't won a trophy since then either.
I mean, how does this? I don't want to say this Real Madrid team, but how does Carlo Ancelotti rank up against some of the best managers in the world? So basically, I'm asking, how does he rack up against Pep?
I mean, as far as the Champions League goes, he has to be the greatest Champions League manager of all time. I mean, he's won the most trophies. So
is he
against Pep, I don't know. If you put Carlo Ancelotti in a squad that's developing, I don't think he transforms the entire club as a whole. Pep Guardiola does that.
Everton days.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to take that's a blip that he wants to get rid of. Carlo Ancelotti, it's a big payday for him, but also the worst team he's ever managed. So, I mean, I don't know if Pep is the greatest of all time. I haven't looked at trophies won by other coaches in other leagues as far as the sheer volume. But I mean, Ancelotti's got to be up there, man. Top 3, top 4, easy.
You guys have to let us know in the comments who is the greatest manager of all time. Is it Pep? Is it Carlo? Jose Mourinho? Sir Alex Ferguson? I don't know. That's one I'd have to think about. That might be a whole new segment for another episode on.
Right. It might have to be.
Who the greatest coaches are of all time. All time, man. Real Madrid's the greatest team in the Champions League of all time. They lost 2 games this entire season.
Yeah.
Both to Atletico Madrid. Once in the league, and then once I think Copa del Rey or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think of because, when you think of Bayer Leverkusen's run this season, they lost once, and it was in the Europa League final. Real Madrid only lost one more time than that. The entire season. And then they just added, Kylian Mbappe. No big deal.
NBD, man.
No big deal. Yeah.
You think Kylian Mbappe gets the Ballon d'Or after this?
No.
Or does it go to Vinny Jr.?
It's got to go to Jude Bellingham or Vinny Jr. My vote is Vinny Jr. And he's the most exciting player to watch in the world. And in my opinion,
he is. I love how he just. Did you see that move where he was running towards the goal line and he does the back heel Meg to Ryerson over there?
Dude, I didn't realize he megged him until they showed it in slow motion. And it was just he didn't even look at him. He just back heels it and it goes right between his legs. I'm like, how do you have that sixth sense to be able to do that?
Mind blown. Just yes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 39 appearances, 24 goals, 11 assists for Vinny Jr. this season. I mean, Jude Bellingham played 42 games with 23 and 13, so pretty much the same stats. But you got to think of how much abuse Vinny Jr. has taken over this past year and a half. As
Dude,
far
people
as,
hate Vinny Jr.
yeah,
They really
racially
do.
abused in Spain,
I think.
especially. I don't understand it.
I mean, I do. It's his personality, is what it is. Some of that
He's
respect
Brazilian.
stuff.
He's old school Brazilian winger. Like
But
that's
that
how
doesn't
they've
mean.
played for years.
But still, he gets hate. I think for his personality because Ronaldinho was an old school Brazilian winger, and I dare you to find someone that just hates Ronaldinho. It's hard.
I don't understand why people hate Vinny Jr. I don't.
I think it's some of his
Attitude and
attitude,
all.
some of the stuff he does on the field, some of his antics that he has.
I
But as
guess
far as
I
his
you got a
play,
point. I don't like Cristiano Ronaldo because of his antics. I don't like Bruno Fernandes because of his antics. So I understand that, I guess.
and
Yeah.
so I can see why people don't care, especially if you're from Barcelona or the other side of Madrid. I can see the hate, but from a neutral, just watching a player play, I love the way he runs at defenders, man. Tries to beat you no matter what. I mean, there's not a lot of players like that. A lot of the times you see them, they'll turn around, kick the ball back versus running at you. So it's fun to see that.
Yeah. One of the few players that aren't system players left. He actually is creative with what he does. Speaking of Vinny Jr. and Jude Bellingham, my friend, let's get into our Champions League awards and team of the season.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so UEFA, the Champions League, they announced their player, young player, and manager of the season. And let me know if you disagree, but I don't disagree at all. Player of the season was Vinny Jr. Young player of the season is Jude Bellingham.
Okay.
Manager of the season, Edin Terzic.
I could argue for Carlo Ancelotti, man. I could see an argument there.
That's fair.
I think I'm a 49-51, probably in favor of Edin Terzic, just because, god damn, man, they came out of the group of death and went all the way. So that's impressive.
Not only that, they topped the group of death.
And I think because they topped their group of death, yeah, you're right. I gotta give them that little extra percent, but I gotta show some respect to Don Carlo.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the best signings of the season. Now,
Europe,
this doesn't have to just be the Champions League. This is all of Europe. I don't know if I can put it down to top 5, but
gonna have
give
to.
me your best shot.
You're gonna have. Oh damn, dude! I see on here on our notes. We got a lot of them.
I know. It's hard.
All right, so my number 5, I'll go to Alex Grimaldo, signed for Bayer Leverkusen for free. 12 goals, 17 assists, and 51 appearances. Guy killed it for Leverkusen, man. As a left wing back, left
changed
back.
a lot.
Sometimes he played forward. I don't know what his position was. He was all over the damn place.
Left side? I don't know.
I got to give it to Cole Palmer. He cost $42 million. And let's be honest, we had zero expectations really from him going from Man City to Chelsea. But he came up with 24 goals, 13 assists, and 39 appearances. For, I think, is he 20? Teenager? However old he is?
20, 21, somewhere in there, yeah. He's still very young.
But, I mean, compared to what he did the previous season to what... I mean, we saw the potential there, especially in that Community Shield game, the last couple games previous season.
Mm-hmm.
But did anyone expect him to blow up like that?
Probably not, especially in a Chelsea side that was very poor.
The only reason they finished in the European spot. My number 3 was another free transfer for Internazionale, as Jamie Carragher likes to say.
Internazionale.
Marcus Thuram, man.
Butchering of Inter Milan there's ever been.
15 goals, 7 assists, and 46 appearances. The stats probably aren't the best, but he was free.
He was free, and his link-up play with Lautaro
Martinez, yes.
Amazing. Like, immediate as well. So, yeah, I tend to agree with that one.
My number 2 is Mr. Harry Kane. £82 million from Tottenham to Bayern Munich. Put 44 goals, 12 assists, and 45 appearances. Hot damn.
Mm-hmm.
The guy scored.
Still 0 trophies.
It's a shame that Bayern Munich defense couldn't keep out some goals.
First season without a trophy for Kingsley Coman, and it's only because Harry Kane coming into the squad. So
Harry Dyer for a little extra sauce in there.
Yeah. The curse of Harry Kane or the curse of Tottenham, I don't know.
The number one has to be Mr. Jude Bellingham, man. 103 million euros, 23 goals, 11 assists, 40 appearances. Guy
Double
killed
winner.
it his first season.
Yeah.
For Real Madrid.
Yep. I can't argue there. This is tough, man. I got it. I have 8 here, and I got to get rid of 3 of these.
Got to get rid of 3 of them.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go.
It's so hard, man. Mention? Do you want to do at least an honorable mention?
I'll do a couple honorable mentions. I'm going to go Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for Marseille. I'm going to be Jamie Carragher for a minute. Marseille. He had 51 appearances. He had 30 goals and 11 assists, and he was free.
He had a fantastic season there in France.
I'm going to go Alex Grimaldo as a honorable mention.
Ooh, honorable mention, huh?
And Victor Boniface for 20 mil.
Boniface!
34 appearances, 21 goals, 10 assists.
He was injured quite a bit, though.
He was, which is why my number 5, man that I love with my heart, Granit Xhaka. Okay. Transform that midfield of Bayer Leverkusen, turn them into the juggernaut that they are now for 10 million.
That was not 10 million.
10 million pounds? Yeah.
I'm willing to bet you it was not 10 million pounds.
From Arsenal? It's either 10 or 15. It was very low.
Google it right now. Do it. I can guarantee you it was not 10 million. I think it was like 25 or 20, something like that.
Because if it was 25, it would be in the top 5 transfers, highest transfers of all time for Arsenal. So
Google that, Granit Xhaka transfer fee.
I'm looking at it right now.
Well, I found it.
It's 15 million euros.
I got 21.5 million.
That's what he's worth. The fee was 15 million euros, which is right around 11.5 million pounds.
Nah, bro. It says for a fee of 21.4 million pounds.
It says 15 million. Where are you looking?
On?
Transfer Market.
Well, I'm looking at Transfer Market. I see it on Football London. I see it on New York Times. I see it on Sky Sports and Wikipedia.
Well, I don't trust half of those, but I do trust Transfer Market. And it says the fee was 15 million.
No way.
That's what it says. Anyways, regardless, transformed the midfield for Bayer Leverkusen.
Is that what he signed to Arsenal for?
No, joined Bayer Leverkusen. He joined Arsenal for 45 million euros in 2016-17 from Borussia Mönchengladbach. I have his whole transfer history here. Dude, if you want to know.
Okay, it says what's. Huh.
Anyways, moving on. Number 4, Harry Kane.
Ooh, that low.
Fantastic season. Still 0 trophies. So, not in there. Marcus Thuram, number 3, same as you. Guy who missed out on yours, Declan Rice, 100 million.
Still 0 trophies.
Still 0 trophies, which is why he's not number 1, which is Jude Bellingham. So, I just don't like Harry Kane. Let's be honest. I respect for his skill, but I don't like him.
All right. Well, who's the worst signing then for you?
We're just talking like Champions League performance, it's got to be Andre Onana.
He did pretty bad. They let in a lot of goals, man.
Terrible. I still think Mason Mount is probably the worst signing of any team this season.
He was really bad.
He was really bad.
I can't disagree.
He was hurt almost the whole season, and he cost 60 mil.
Well, not even he was hurt the whole season, but he would come off the bench and do jack shit, or he'd start a game against Crystal Palace and they'd get their ass kicked. I mean, he didn't do anything, man, and he cost 60 million.
So bad.
Like
so bad.
Like, I don't get how people are giving so much hate to Kai Havertz for Arsenal. They should be pounding that hate on Mason
There's only
Mount.
5 mil more. All I will
least-
say is Chelsea apparently were just brilliant in the transfer window and selling.
They were
players.
last time, man. I don't know how they got that amount of money. One for Havertz or Mount, because they didn't do shit the season before.
Yeah.
Arsenal definitely overpaid by a minimum of 25 million.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's probably worth 40, but they got quite the return from Kai Havertz as where
We'll
Mason
just put
Mount.
it this way: Kai Havertz was 60, and Granit Xhaka was 15, according to you. So I mean,
I would
saying, look at that difference.
Yeah, it was massive. Massive.
But let's get back to the Champions League. We'll get through these transfers. My heart rate's going up, getting all excited about that. Players sucking. Goddamn. What was your favorite match from this season in the Champions League?
I got to go first leg, Real Madrid, Manchester City.
Damn, that was a good game, wasn't it?
That was such a good game.
Some golazos,
there was
man.
quite a few good ones. I mean, you could think of any of the Manchester United games in the group stage where it was like 7 goals minimum in like every game.
3 threes, 4 threes,
4 threes, 3 threes. Was it 5-2 against Bayern Munich, something like that? Yeah. So I don't know. That City and Madrid game was just like two heavyweights, movable force against a unstoppable object.
Think of the goals, amazing. Man. That Bernardo Silva free kick, that Phil Foden arrow to the top rocket, that Gvardiol goal, that Fede Valverde freaking volley, golazo. I mean, it was just, I think, is that the one Rodrigo scored a golazo in as well? I can't remember all of them, man.
Yeah.
Just amazing goals. But I am actually going to pick that not Bayern Munich, that Man United Galatasaray game in Turkey.
That was pretty intense. Yeah.
There were some golazos in that one too. Bruno Fernandes had that goal. That Turkish player, something Koglu, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Had a thunderbolt pass Onana.
McCarty
making hilarious mistakes. I mean, it was just a
little bit of everything. Yeah.
Which was your favorite goal, though?
This one was tough, man, because I had to do a lot of research to just try to find the best goals of the Champions League.
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go. It's got to be Mario Hermoso against Feyenoord, where he takes it down the line and then chips the goalie to the far post. That's just that's such a hard skill to do. It was amazing. I mean, Bruno's against Galatasaray was pretty good. Samuel Ligne against Celtic was great. Xavi Simons had 4 or 5 that could probably be mentioned on here. But I got to go Mario Hermoso against Feyenoord. How about you?
I got to give a shout out to that Bruma goal too.
Yeah, that one was pretty
in
nice.
The group stages. I am going actually to go with Alphonso Davies' goal against Real Madrid.
Ooh, okay.
Just because that one I think was the most surprising for me because the guy doesn't score often.
Well, you could also throw in there Fabian Schär against, was that PSG?
Oh yeah, he had a
where he slips but also arrows it into the top corner.
From the deep.
That one was shocking. My jaw hit the floor. So yeah, there's a lot of really good goals.
But the Alphonso Davies one was in the semifinal. It put Bayern Munich up. He had Antonio Rudiger showing him to his weaker right foot, and he just said okay on his weaker right
Thunderbolt.
foot.
Thunderbolt.
Curls it around Lunin.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
What else we got coming up?
Worst player of the season?
Well, we've already mentioned Onana, Mount.
And Mason Mount. I think
I'll
you
give a
wanted
shout
to
out
mention...
to Arroyo in that quarterfinal match for that stupid red card. That
so bad.
Pretty much cost Barcelona the tie.
Yeah. Biggest overachievers? It's got to be Borussia Dortmund, doesn't it?
Dude, so this is why. I know we talked about this before we were recording. Like Copenhagen, we wanted to give them a shout out. But it has to be Dortmund, man. A group of death, finished top. But just not only that, think of how they ended last season. Final day of the Bundesliga, they lose it. Final match in the final minutes. And then to go to the Champions League final the next year in the group of death, beating AC Milan, PSG, Newcastle, and then to beat PSV, Atletico, and PSG in the knockout stages. I mean, that's something.
That is something.
While losing your best player in Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, and not really adding anyone to note besides former players, I guess. Sabitzer.
Fulkrug was already there, yeah.
Fulkrug was there. I mean,
bringing Ian Maatsen on loan.
It was a good one. Was Ryerson already there too?
Loan. I think Ryerson was
a great one. Yeah. So, yeah, fantastic season for them. Worst underachievers. I mean, I want to say Manchester United, but you did a really good case for Sevilla, and I'm probably being too harsh on Manchester United because they did score quite a few goals.
They did.
Sevilla did not.
Scored 12.
Sevilla did not, and they only had 2 points. And Man United had 4, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes.
I will agree with Sevilla. They didn't even get into the Europa League so they could win it. So that's got to be underachieving at its finest.
Very much so. Very much.
Yeah.
I know you had Man United. And I was like, who was the worst team? I was like, damn, Sevilla played terrible. I mean, they were in a group with Arsenal, PSV, and Lens and finished bottom.
Yeah.
But hold on, they were 6 points off the third place team in Lens. They weren't even close. At least United were somewhat close.
Yeah,
they had
came
4
down
points.
to the final
and
day.
Galatasaray were on fit, had 5 points in that group. So I mean, Sevilla shit the bed for sure. Yeah. And they're nowhere near the Champions League this season. So.
All right, my friend. Let's move on to team of the season. I'm just gonna let you take this because we have almost the exact same squad, and I'll just go with whoever of mine is different. So
how about this? I'll say my goalkeeper, you say your goalkeeper, and we can just see who's different that way.
Cool.
All right. My goalkeeper is Kobel. Gregor Kobel from Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
Guy had the 6 clean sheets, which was the most, had the most saves. I will say Andre Lunin did fantastic, deputizing for Courtois until the final, and then he saw the sad Instagram videos of him training at home all sick, and you hate to see it. Hate to see it. But my right back, I went with the guy who got the winner in the final, Danny Carvajal, man. Hard not to pick him.
Yeah, it's hard not to, but just because you picked him, I'm going to go with his counterpart for Borussia Dortmund, Julian Ryerson, because, man, I don't know where Dortmund finds these players, but he was fantastic this season.
Until he played Vinny Jr. Vinny Jr. kind of, which, I mean, it's hard to say. Vinny Jr. has his way with every defender, does he not?
Pretty much.
2 center backs. I went with Mats Hummels and Antonio Rudiger.
Same.
Mats Hummels, man, the guy had a goal and an assist. He also had the most tackles and most ball recoveries, which I thought was an interesting little stat. My left back, I wanted to go Ian Maatsen so bad until that mistake in the final just cost Dortmund. Like, once that second goal went in, you were just like, damn, there it is. That was the nail.
Yep, that was the nail in the coffin.
So I'm going to go with Samuel Ligne. Guy had 3 goals, 3 assists, and 7 appearances for Atletico. Not terrible for a left back / left wing back.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we, beginning of the season, we were watching Champions League. I was like, have you ever heard of a Samuel Ligne? And you're like, no. Who is he? Who the hell is he? Like, you should watch for him, man. He's electric.
I did start watching him, in La Liga for Atleti.
Yeah.
I
have him too, just because, again, Maatsen mistake in the final.
Hate to see it. My midfield, I guess I should say my formation is a 4-3-3.
Same.
My midfield, I have Marcel Sabitzer. Guy killed it. 5 assists, a goal. Did fantastic for Dortmund. Obviously, Jude Bellingham had 4 goals, 5 assists. This one might throw people off. I went with Antoine Griezmann as an attacking midfielder.
Okay.
He had 6 goals and 1 assist in 10 appearances, and was honestly the reason Atleti made it to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, a lot of his, inputs or contributions were like the pass before the pass. for the goal, especially spraying it out wide so Morata could score. Don't know how he had as many goals as he did either, but, whatever.
That's on.
My only difference is I don't have Griezmann in my team of the season at all, and I had to put in Toni Kroos because, man, was he good, especially in that final. He's so good. So
I don't
good.
want to disagree with you, but I am. I think you're having retirement recency bias because, the guy...
He was amazing in the Champions League this season.
Okay, so what were his stats?
I don't care about his stats. It's how he controls the ball, how he dictates play.
But he has to contribute something.
Yeah, sure.
Goal.
I can look
he
up
did
his
get
stats.
the assist for Carvajal, and that was his second assist.
Quite a few assists, maybe less than 4. Maybe 4. I don't know.
It's less than 4.
Did you already look it up?
He had 2 assists. That was it. No goals, nothing in the 12 appearances. I want to give it to him. Don't get me wrong. He's a fantastic player. I know he's retiring, and so he's getting a lot of that kind of love. Just not from me. I don't think he's in the team in the season.
It was either him or Rodri. So that was it.
All right. Well,
let's go.
My front 3, I have Vinny Jr. on the left, and then I went with Kylian Mbappe on the right. Gonna play him out of position, but I had to squeeze him in there. Guy was a joint top goal scorer. And, of course, Harry Kane is my striker. Also joint top goal scorer.
Okay. I agree with you with Vinny Jr. and Harry Kane, but I did not put Kylian Mbappe in my team of the season because in big matches he seems to disappear. So I did Phil Foden, who had a wonderful season in the Champions League, especially goals against Real Madrid, keeping Manchester City in those ties.
He did have a good season. I will give you that one, yeah. He did play fantastic.
A lot of honorable mentions. I'm sure we could spend the next 10 minutes naming them. But because you're confused, my friend, on the new format of the Champions League, I want to take the last
I'm confused. Explain
7 or 8 minutes to help you understand. And those of you listening along, because it is very confusing.
What's going on?
Yeah. Essentially, they've made it so that teams play more games.
Hey,
That's
more money.
Pretty much it. So the Champions League format that was before is no more. They're going to change it to a 32-team group stage, or took a 32-team group stage and replaced it with 36 teams. So you get 4 more teams. Those 4 extra spots went to Germany, Italy, Spain, and I don't know the other one, but they're there. Each team will face 2 teams from each of the 4 pots. So just like now, right? You got the 4 pots. Each team will face 2 teams from each pot. 4 home, 4 away.
Hopefully you get good, shitty teams if it's one you support.
Right? The Europa and Conference Leagues, European Conference Leagues, will have home and away ties against each team, a team in each of the 6 pots. So because
it's no more, basically, there's no more dropping down a league.
Yes.
They're getting rid of that, yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of which, after group stage is done, teams 1 through 8 will directly qualify for the round of 16. Okay? Teams 9 through 24 will play in a 2-leg knockout playoff round to qualify for the round of 16. So this is where you get the extra games, as well as 2 extra group stage games. Teams 25 through 36 will just be eliminated. There's no more dropping down into the competition below.
Yeah.
That's it. You're done. Which means, sorry, Sevilla, if you're not in the Europa League, you don't get to play in the Europa League anymore. This means that teams could potentially play up to 17 matches in the Champions League, which is up 4 matches from prior,
13,
or 21 in the Europa League or European Conference League, which was 15 before. And then the rest is the same. Do you have any?
16, yeah.
Do you have any questions? Because this is a lot like the NBA, where you have like a play-in round and then it goes to the actual playoffs. It's really effing weird. I don't like it. Does it make more sense now?
Of course, me being the old man that I am, don't like change.
Well, I agree with you. I think there was nothing wrong with the Champions League. I loved it how it was. I know they want the bigger teams to face off more often. Sure, whatever. But that's what we have preseason for. So no one cares.
It
But
almost
at
makes
what?
those big games a little bit more special, when you get the Real Madrid
Yeah,
versus the Man Cities in a semifinal versus in a group stage game where
whatever.
I don't
Yeah.
know, yeah.
So my question is, if this makes more sense to you now, speaking of more games, is at what point do the players start to strike because they're having to play too many matches? I mean, the last 3 or 4 years, they've added the Nations League, more matches overseas during league play. They moved the World Cup to the middle of the season, and now this.
I don't think they do. I mean, you're a player, you want to play, you like to play in these games, you want to score goals, you want to.
But you got to protect the players themselves. I mean, we've seen injuries skyrocket, especially serious knee injuries. I mean, not to mention you got the Euros, the Copa America, and the Olympics this summer with some players playing in both competitions, which means they'll have no off season.
I doubt players will play in the Olympics that are also in the Euros.
They say they want to. It's up to clubs with the Olympics, so I understand. I know Mbappe won't because Real Madrid won't let him. But I'm just saying. It's a crazy number of games. I couldn't imagine playing that many games in a season when I was 20.
I think it comes down more to the team's rotation, things like that.
Yeah, but
It's something
to what
managers
point?
are gonna have to take into concern.
Yeah, I'd say what point do these bottom tier European teams that make it into these big competitions just start to completely suffer and fall apart because their players are hurt all the time?
I don't think they will. I mean, you've seen how far sports medicine has come and training. I mean, players are a lot better, younger nowadays. So I don't think we'll see a lot of that. I mean, you could, don't get me wrong. Like, you think of, for an example, of Raheem Sterling, who some years ago was one of the best for Man City, but then he moves to Chelsea, and he's still fairly young. I think he's below 30.
Close,
But,
yeah.
but the guy, I think, has just played so many games. You remember for Liverpool, he was playing nonstop.
Well, for me, it's an example I want to use is Pedri. He played what was it like 87 games in a course of a calendar year, and he hasn't been the same since. He's been in and out of injury. He's had 2 major knee surgeries.
But we don't know for sure if that's because of the games he played. I mean, obviously you can speculate and say
it has a lot to do with it.
It might, yeah. You're not wrong.
And the guy's barely 20, so
he should recover quick then, right?
yeah. But what do you guys think? What is too much in football? Did the new Champions League confuse you? Was it fine the way it was? Do you like this new format more? Let us know down in the comments. Also, let us know on TikTok, Brews FC, on Instagram, Brews Banter FC, Facebook. Join the conversation on our Facebook group. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And until next time, my friends, we love you. Thank you for supporting us. And you got to try these beers. They're delicious. Cheers.
Cheers.